How many cigarettes are in a bottle of wine? The health risks of smoking are pretty clear, but when it comes to alcohol, the news headlines can be a little bit more confusing. That's especially so if you're drinking in moderation, behaving yourself to 1 or 2 standard drinks a night. British researchers have recently tackled this tangled web with a paper that aims to calculate the overall lifetime risk of cancer that's linked to drinking alcohol. We're Spoil Sports, as always, and the senior author of this research is Nick Sharon, a professor of population hepatology at the University of Southampton. Welcome to the Health Report, Nick.
Hi there.
You're the first professor of population hepatology we've had on the Health Report.
I don't think there are many, actually.
Hepatology being the study of liver disease.
Liver disease, yeah.
So tell us about this study.
Well, we've known that alcohol is a carcinogen for many years, many epidemiological studies. It causes around about 7 different types of cancer, and in the UK it's around about 1 in 20 cancers are alcohol-related. And whereas everybody knows of the links between smoking and cancer, much fewer people are aware of the links with alcohol. It's around 1 in 8 in the UK. And this is really problematic because people just simply don't have the information that they need to make informed choices. And so we set about trying to improve that situation a few years ago, and also to try and talk about risk. We're not very good at talking to people about risk. So we asked ourselves a very simple question: as far as cancer is concerned, in a non-smoker, how many cigarettes are in a bottle of wine? And the results were surprising.
Which is not the disgusting thought that you're stubbing your cigarettes out in the wine. It's the equivalence.
It was, we wanted to try and create a little bit of a mental image that people would remember. And hopefully we've succeeded. Anyway, the results were surprising. So for men it's 5 cigarettes, and for women it's 10 cigarettes. There's a big gender difference.
And which cancers?
The cancers that alcohol causes, firstly they tend to be the cancers that come into contact with alcohol. So mouth, throat, gullet, and then it misses out the bit in the middle and colon and rectum. And then in addition to that, we have the liver, possibly the pancreas, and perhaps most importantly, certainly for this piece of work, breast cancer is strongly associated with alcohol. So if on average you drink a bottle of wine for your lifetime, it puts your lifetime risk of breast cancer up by about 10%. Now, if breast cancer was really, really rare, that probably wouldn't matter very much, but breast cancer is incredibly common. Around about 1 in 10 women will get breast cancer, and so the absolute risk is around about 1%, something like that.
And you also looked at if you actually amped it up and you were drinking more than 1 bottle of wine, let's say 3 bottles of wine, the difference separates even more widely. Yeah,
so the health risks for alcohol, for cancer, they tend to be linear. So they're in a straight line. They start from 0 and then they go up in a straight line. So 1 bottle of wine for women, 10 cigarettes, 2 bottles, 20 cigarettes, 3 bottles, 30 cigarettes. For some of the other health complications from alcohol, specifically liver disease, the risk is a curved line. It goes up higher, steeper and steeper the further you go out. It's an exponential relationship.
Even higher if you're overweight or obese because of fatty liver.
Well, that's absolutely true. And bear in mind that there's a couple of caveats with what we're saying. Firstly, we're not in any way saying that an average smoker has the same risk as someone who drinks 1 or 2 bottles of wine a week. And the reason for that is that 10 cigarettes might seem like a lot to a non-smoker. The average smoker smokes between 80 and 100 cigarettes a week. So the health hit is much, much higher.
So what are you supposed to do with this information?
Well, I think first of all, to put it in context, so the risk is around about the same. Drinking a bottle of wine a week is about the same risk as driving a car for 50 years. So, and it's the same level of risk. The UK CMO issued a guideline last year where they suggested a safe guideline for alcohol intake was 14 units or 14 centilitres a week for both men and women, and that's about 1.5 bottles of wine. There's 10 centilitres of alcohol in a bottle. Now that level was set where the risk of death from alcohol is 1 in 100, in other words 1%. And that's a risk that a lot of people will be prepared to negotiate on the basis that they really enjoy drinking alcohol, and the majority of people, certainly in European culture and developed countries, like drinking alcohol. So it's giving people a frame of reference. If you're drinking a bottle of wine a week, then the risk is about the same as driving. When you start to increase your alcohol above that, 2, 3, 4, 5 and more bottles of wine, or the equivalent in alcohol, then your health risk goes up, and it enables people to think about their health risks and then reduce the risk, should they choose to do so.
Of course, the risks of alcohol are, as you've illustrated, more complex than smoking. Smoking is largely a variety of cancers and heart disease and stroke, whereas alcohol is violence, crashing your car, etc., etc.
Yeah, the health harms from alcohol, they fall into sort of 4 categories. There are things that you do that are a bit stupid when you're drunk, like crashing your car or hitting someone. There's the cancer risk, which is around about a quarter of deaths. There's liver disease, which is around about a quarter of deaths. But, for example, in the UK, liver disease is probably going to outstrip ischemic heart disease as a leading cause of premature mortality.
Really?
And that is because people die from liver disease in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. The average age of death is 50, and the average age of death from heart disease and also smoking-related diseases is much, much later. And then the final quarter is hypertension and ischemic heart disease. And it used to be thought that a very low dose of alcohol could be in some way protective. But a very important paper in the Lancet this week, which you may have seen, completely trashed that as a myth. It's due to confounding, and there's no health benefit from drinking low levels of alcohol.
So keep it safe. Nick Sharon, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Professor Nick Sharon is a liver doctor at the University of Southampton, population hepatology. Across Australia, you're listening to RN's Health Report with me, Norman Swan.